This episode of Techno Buffalo is brought to you by Lynda. Welcome back to that episode of Rangers Rants. I'm your host, John Rangers, the show where we rant and rave on anything from the world of technology and sometimes outside of it. And last week was one of those instances. I ranted on cell phone addiction and our just dependence on consumer electronics, and I am totally hooked. So I issued a challenge. Next time you go out with your friends, put your cell phones on a table and say whoever picks theirs up first has to pay the tab. And a lot of you took me up on it. It's been awesome to see, and I've been making a better effort to be more conscious in social interactions and not pull out my cell phone and ignore the phantom vibration in my pocket. Something happened earlier today that made me want to take that a step further. So this video is being filmed on the 15th of April. It's going to air on the 17th. So by the time you watch this, more information might already have come out on what happened. But just a few hours ago, the Boston Marathon, when people were crossing the finish line, 2 bombs exploded. We only just recently learned that they were bombs. And already we're hearing live updates and video that are coming out from it. It got me kind of thinking, in personal experience, that now whenever there's a tragedy, oftentimes people, instead of trying to help, reach for their cell phones first and try and record what's going on. You know, you see it at tragedies when there are shootings, and you see it at tragedies all the time. And I'm not saying that not helping is people's first instinct, but it's the way information is being shared via cell phones. Oftentimes we learn about things from social media before traditional news reports on it. All this stuff going on, all the tragedy in the world and the way information is being shared and people on their cell phones sort of reminded me of a psychology case I read about when I was in college. And I know this is not a usual topic that we discuss, but I figure it's all the crazy things going on in the world. It's maybe appropriate. So it's a story, and it's a true story, of a woman by the name of Kitty Genovese. And that name might sound familiar to you. She's a woman. She lived in New York City, and she was unfortunately murdered. And when the police came and interviewed all of her neighbors, a lot of them reported hearing her scream and yell for help. Yet none of them did anything about it. When the police asked why, they always assumed, and the answer that they gave was, we figured somebody else was going to call the police. And it sort of got me thinking about all things going on now with social media. I see accidents when cars get in car accidents. People automatically taking pictures. But I'm wondering how many people are actually calling the police to make sure everybody is okay, or calling an ambulance to come and help. The cell phones have changed this world, and they continue to do so over the next 3, 5, 10 years. And as the technology gets even better, as people start using smartwatches, as products like Google Glass become more prevalent, and I'm wondering how much we're actually going to do to help our fellow man, and how much we're going to do just for the sake of sharing information. Now, I'm not belittling the importance of sharing information. I think, like as I mentioned, that's the way a lot of people learn about news. Police get a lot of evidence from pictures people take. But how many people are actually calling for help when things happen? And I can remember a personal example. I witnessed, and this is about 4 years ago, and I was living at a different place, someone get hit by a car. An actual person get hit by a car. It was a really tragic experience. And I remember I swerved my car over, I pulled off to the side, and I ran to go help. I was actually the first person on the scene. I knew a little bit of CPR. I knew enough to know to not touch the person. I called the ambulance and I waited for help. And people started to gather and gather and gather, and everybody had their cell phones out. And I kept hearing people just talking normally. I didn't hear anybody else call for help. And not to say that I did anything different than they might not have done. It was very interesting to see the first reaction people have to things. So I challenge you guys in another challenge. If you ever see something happen, before you share it on social media, make sure everybody's okay. If you need to call the police, if you need to call a fire truck, if you need to call an ambulance, whatever it might be, do that first. Don't assume ever that somebody else is going to do it, because you only get one chance at life. And if you miss helping someone out, it's a life or death situation. And if you disagree, let me know. Maybe I'm way off, maybe I'm old and out of touch. But I really want to hear your thoughts. I like to have a dialogue about this and what we can do to maybe use the tools we have to help people, and to try and make sure that those that need help can actually get it. Suppose for the sake of, being the first one to share a story, be a second person to share a story, and be the first one to offer help. So let me take a minute to thank our friends and sponsors at lynda.com. Lynda is an online learning company with more than 77,000 video tutorials that teach software, creative and business skills, and all kinds of other goodness you're gonna need to succeed in this world. Membership is only $25 per month, provides unlimited 24/7 access to top quality video courses taught by expert instructors with real world experience. So not people just read about it in the books. Learn anytime, anywhere, and at your own pace, most importantly, from bite-sized tutorials to comprehensive courses in everything ranging from web design, programming design, photography, business, audio and visual 3D animation, With new courses added pretty much every week, the training library keeps pace with today's fast-changing technical and software skills. You can learn on the go with their optimized mobile site or iPhone and iPad app for members. Try lynda.com free for 7 days by visiting lynda.com/technobuffalo. Again, guys, want to hear what you have to say. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. I'm John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo. We'll be back next week with more tech-focused ranties, I promise. I'll see you guys in the next one.